welcome to another exciting episode of the Andre The Beast Crayton Show. This is Domestic Violence Month, and I am pleased to have a young lady that's not only went through the struggles of domestic violence, have had people tell her story. She's on the Andre The Beast Crayton Show to tell her story, her journey on what life is really about from her perspective. Welcome to the show, Sabrina Parr.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, let's get right down to it. Tell the viewers who Sabrina Parr actually is.
So I'm a mother of two beautiful children. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a soon-to-be author. I spent some time working on-air as on-air talent for ESPN. And I'm now an advocate for women, encouraging women to become their best selves and on this new journey of becoming a podcaster, like I said, soon to be author. So just got some really great things in store.
Great. So let's get right down to it. Let's go dig right into who Sabrina is. Let's tell the viewers how you evolved to be where you're at today. Let's start from, let's say, your childhood. Tell a little bit, because you are a five-time track and field champion, full ride to scholarship. Take us down the life of Sabrina at that moment in your life, childhood.
As a child, I was always very active. I really liked sports. I didn't get into organized sports until middle school, but I grew up in a very vital environment. Mostly living with my mom. She had her struggles with addiction. I was by the age of, I want to say maybe 7 or 8, I was in the house by myself. My sister, my oldest sister is 5 years older than me. So she left the home when she was 16, maybe even before that. But I just remember being by myself a lot. I was a very troubled kid. I was always getting into something in school, always getting suspended, always fighting. Just whatever I could do to get some attention. And then by the time I got to 7th grade, I was removed from the home because of my mother's struggle with addiction that she just wasn't able to overcome at the time. And then that is when my life really began to change.
When you say your mom had an addiction problem, what happened to your life then?
Once I was removed from the home?
Yeah.
Or
once you was removed from the home?
Started. Well, I had to move. So, the environment that I was used to changed. At the time, I was placed with my grandfather, my dad's father, and he was living above his storefront, in a storefront above his restaurant. So that was in the ghetto. It wasn't really an environment for children, but it was the only place the police could find. They, back in the day, we had yellow pages and white pages. So they looked up, this is how you found people, right? You couldn't search the name online. You had to go to the pages. So they searched my last name in the yellow pages and found a restaurant under his name, called him, told him, we have your granddaughter here. We have to take her somewhere unless she's going to have to go to foster care. Of course, he said, bring her.
Right.
But, just that feeling of, am I really wanted here, or is it just am I just being tolerated? So I kind of tried to stay quiet and invisible.
Right.
I was able to stay at the same school because my school kind of knew the situation and they allowed me to stay there. But it was a very lonely time in my life. And at that point, I just knew I am responsible for whatever happens moving forward. And that is when I got really focused on being an athlete.
When you talk about the ghetto, explain to the viewers exactly what the ghetto is. We hear all kind of different scenarios. What was it like for you when you say ghetto, so that people can clearly understand as a child what you had to actually go through?
So where I moved to, where my grandfather's store was, restaurant, when I say ghetto, there's a lot of violence outside. There's homeless people, there's drug dealers, there's drug addicts. There's not a lot of greenery. There's not a lot of
Right.
places to play. There's a bunch of corner stores, liquor stores, fast food restaurants. This is what I was surrounded by. You know, it was to the point where my dad was like, do not go outside for anything.
Right.
You know, but I'm not listening to that. I want to go to the store. I want to go outside and look around, you know, but it was just dangerous. It was dangerous for a young girl to be in that type of environment, you know. But that's where I was. So
Who
that was my ghetto at that time.
who became your role models during this time of your life? This transformation, trying to get yourself in order, you know, with school and now transitioning to the ghetto. Who did you have to confide in?
Well, I was going to say I didn't have any role models, but I did have people who I could count on, trust, and talk to. I didn't do this a lot because I did not want to be a burden. I didn't want to be overbearing because I needed a lot. But I had a couple teachers at middle school. One, Mrs. Casey, who I still talk to this day, her and her husband, and this was a white couple, and they didn't have children, and she was my health teacher. She also
Okay.
was the lacrosse coach in middle school, and they tried to like adopt me because they loved me so much. And it was to the point where now they didn't go through, but they attempted. And they started the process, but it would be days where I was just having such a rough day. As soon as I got to school, and she would just allow me to do school from her classroom the whole day. And she would just say, I don't like the look on your face. What happened last night? And I would tell her, and she'd be like, okay, come in my room. I'm gonna go talk to the principal for you. You'll be here all day. Like, she showed so much compassion for me. And also one of my English teachers, Mr. Hutch, you know, every time he saw everyone, but I thought I was special
Right.
because I was. But he would say, be the what? And I would say, be the best. And he nicknamed me Cheetah because I was really fast. And that nickname just kind of like stuck throughout my career. But he always encouraged me. If I got a bad grade on my test, he would come sit down with me and say, I know you didn't get an F because you didn't know the information. So what's going on in your mind? And then he would give me an opportunity to take the test again. And it was obviously something going on in my mind because I was such a good student. I was very intelligent.
Mm-hmm.
And the information was not too hard for me, but dealing with some of the things I was dealing with at home, sometimes it was hard to process information. So my teachers and the administrators at the school were my biggest supporters. I had the principal at the time, Mrs. Williams. You know, I couldn't afford the school lunch. So she allowed me to come do office work during my free period, and then she paid for my lunch,
Really?
which I thought was such a blessing from God. And then some days, if I was having a really bad day, or if I was having a really good day in school, she would say, you know what, we're going outside for lunch today. And she would take me to Wendy's or something. And like these things are unimaginable, but this is just how God kept his hand on me throughout these situations with, you know, my father being gone, my mom being gone, and me being with my grandparents. So I definitely had a lot of support from my administrators at school.
Let's get down into the other part of your life. 5-time track and field champion. When did that light click? Who helped you navigate that part of your life?
So, well, I was a five-time All-American, and for those of you who are not into sports, All-American just mean that you placed in the top 8 in the country in an event. Um, so I did that 5 times. So my coaches, like my first coach, Coach Holland, he was my AAU coach in middle school when I first started running track. You know, he supported me through everything. And like I was very transparent. Like once I was removed from my mom's home, I was able to be free. I was able to talk freely about my situation.
Mm-hmm.
So then I was able to start dealing with it and healing from it. And so I could just say to my coach, like, you know, I didn't eat today, or I don't know what kind of work I'm going to have because today was a stressful day, or whatever. And he always found a way to encourage me. He saw something in me that I did not see in myself. And so he was able to pull that out of me. So all the emotions that I have from missing my mom and missing my dad, I transferred that over to being an athlete and running track.
Hmm.
And it just worked for me at the time. Like it really, I wasn't even like a sad kid. Like I put all that energy into being the best. I wanted to compete with the boys. I would get upset if he wouldn't put me in the group with the boys. Cause I felt like the girls are not challenging enough for me. Like I want the greatest challenge available here. And he just supported me in that. And same thing when I got to high school, my high school coach, I chose my high school based on the track program and the coach that was available
Okay.
because I knew that support.
How did the scholarships come in? That's what I'm curious about.
It's
Because you
because
could
I
have
was
went,
working hard and I was
yeah.
beating
I mean, you
everybody.
could have went to Ohio State, Kentucky, IU, but you chose to go to Cal. What made you decide
Yeah,
that?
so funny story, and I'm gonna say this story very quickly. Um, one day, so my mom, she went to rehab. She came home from rehab and started back using again.
Oh shit.
And I was devastated. She was gone for about 9 months, right? Like
Hmm.
from the time I was removed from her home in middle school to my freshman year, um, almost my sophomore year, I really didn't see my mom. You know, she was trying to get herself together. So I heard she was getting out of rehab and she was finally, better. And she came home and started back using, and it turned me into a monster.
What do you mean?
Like at that moment, and my dad was back in jail, so it was like, okay, now I'm by myself again. I felt like they had dangled this family story in front of my face and then they snatched it. So back then, when I got angry, I got active. Like I used that anger towards something. So I remember going to my head coach and but I'm just angry, like, how could she do this to me again? She was doing the best that she could.
Right.
Struggling, addiction is very serious. It is not easy to overcome. And there are people who relapse for years before they can get it together.
Hmm.
So I don't hold it against her now. Back then, I didn't know how to process
Right.
not being available to your child,
Right.
especially as a mother myself. So, anyways, it just made me very angry. I felt defeated. I felt let down. I felt unloved. I felt unwanted. I felt unheard. And I wanted to get away from that. So I went to my head coach and asked him, what's the furthest state from here? Mind you, I'm a little ghetto kid, so I hadn't really been
Right.
past North Carolina. So he was like, why? Like, he was kind of irritated. I was like, because I want to run track the furthest state from here. And so he put out a map, I'm showing my age because they still had maps. So he put out a map and he pointed to California. He said, this state, this is the furthest state from Ohio. And I said, well, I want to run track in California. He said, why do you want to go so far? Just go to Michigan. Like they're offering you a
Right.
full ride. I said, I don't want to go to Michigan. It's too close. It's driving distance. It's too cold. I want to go somewhere I'd never imagined myself being.
Right.
And so he said to me, well, if you want to go to California, you're going to have to run a lot faster. And I said, how fast? Give me a time. So then we looked up the times, like the times that you need to qualify in order to be recruited.
Right.
And he said, and then you're going to have a 3.4 cumulative GPA. Done. Right. This was now my mission.
Right.
I knew I had to run very close to 43 seconds and 300 hurdles back then. I knew I had to have a 3.4 cumulative GPA. I knew my academics had to be great. I just knew. So then I created a plan.
Right.
I decided instead of working a job, instead of sleeping in until my alarm goes off, instead of spending my weekends with my girlfriends or dating, I got up at 4:30 in the morning. I went to school at 6 a.m. to work out with the football team. I use my weekends to train. I use my evenings to train. So I'm now training 3 times a day. That's twice as much as my teammates, 3 times as much as my teammates, and I'm setting myself up for success because
Right.
I got to get faster. I'm studying while I'm traveling to and from school. I'm studying more on the weekends. So now we're in my junior year in high school. I have a 3.7 cumulative GPA, and my coach comes to me and says, I think you're ready to go to Cali.
Mm.
And I said, what do you mean? He was like, I'm going to take you. We're going to raise money. I'm going to enter us into Invitational. It's a very Reputable one is called Arcadia Invitational. It's in Arcadia, California, which is about an hour from Los Angeles.
Right.
He said the best of the best come here and run. You go do your thing out there, you'll get any scholarship you want.
Wow.
And I said, okay, let's do it. So we raised money as a community for us and another team to go there. The thing about California, you can run as many races as your legs allow. So I signed up for 8 races. I said, put me in everything.
What was
right?
8 races that you did? Do you remember?
Yes. So I did the 100 hurdles. I did the 400 hurdles. I did the open 400. I did the sprint medley. I did the distance medley. I did the middle medley. I did the 4x1 and I did the 4x4.
Are you serious?
I am dead serious. And it was a 2-day meet. So I did 8 races in the course of 2 days. And when I tell you I left it all out on the track,
Yeah.
I remember the first day I could not walk.
I was going to say, yeah, could you walk?
No, literally another coach literally came and picked me up off the track because I left it all out there. I felt like this was my one opportunity to showcase who I was, and I'm not going to get this opportunity again. So I took full advantage of it, and I came back with 7 medals. I think I medaled in everything except the open 400 because I think I got like 6 or 7, and you only got medals for the top 3.
Right.
And which I was okay with it. I said,
Yeah.
I like the odds, 7 medals, top 3 in 7 events, didn't have a bad day at work. So after I got back from California, all the letters start coming in.
Yeah,
all the schools
yeah.
from LA, all the schools from, the Bay Area. It was like I did it. And then I ended up signing early. So I took a couple recruiting trips. One was to the school in California, and I was blown away. Like I had never seen palm trees. Like I'm just a ghetto kid from California. I mean, from Cleveland. So the air smelled different, the sky looked different, the trees were different. Everybody
and you know
was
what? You probably were different too, because if people are listening to this story, you're still young. You're still getting ready to start your life.
Yeah. I was 16 years old going through this.
And navigating with waters and still trying to process your mom and dad's situation and still trying to realize a lot of people can't do that. Go, okay, especially at that age, I'm gonna leave this stuff alone. I'm gonna leave this stuff alone, but this is where I plan to be. Keep going. I like this story.
Yeah, so you get 5. Well, back then I don't know how it's changed now, but you had 5 official college visits. Official meaning they pay for you to come, and I took 3. The third one, the California school, and I had 300 of them. I had so many letters, so many offers. Because remember I told you I had to hit a 43 mark. Well, I hit a low 42 very early in my junior year. So I was more than ready.
Right.
So I signed very early. I knew California was where I wanted to be. And, I sacrificed not going to prom. I sacrificed, again, not really having a dating life. I had guys, but it was like, I'm not taking anybody too seriously because this is my focus and I don't want anyone to take me off of this path. I sacrifice even sometimes my look, because if I don't have money and people aren't taking me to the hair salon and to the nail shop, how am I, getting my hair and stuff done? So I learned how to do my own hair, but I had my ways of hustling, but it was like I just sacrificed a lot of the things that I saw the other girls getting and doing. So now I'm graduating high school. I'm in California.
You're in California, and you starting your life in California. What's that like? Long way from Cleveland.
Yeah.
Palm trees, beach, everybody's fast. And you're your own support group right now. You don't have Cleveland. So how do you navigate now?
The same way I was navigating in Cleveland, finding my way, trial and error, because I was independent, I was able to file independent on my FAFSA. because my parents were gone. So they gave me a lot of money outside of my scholarship. I'm in beautiful California. And I'm just figuring it out. I don't know what to do with money. I've never had it. The men look different, everything is different.
Right.
So I did very well though. I just had to figure it out, just like I figured it out any other time. But my ambition and my drive and my focus, it did not change. It
Hmm.
was still there. If anything, it was heightened because I'm now really out here by myself. I no longer have the support of my coaches and the administrators. No one knows me. No one knows my story. No one cares about my story. And I'm here on assignment. A scholarship is a contract.
Right.
So you perform and then you can get these things. So I fully understood that.
People recognize you by the guy, Lamar Odom, that you just recently dated. Tell the viewers a little bit about that rocky road relationship and how it led into your book, your soon to be book.
Um, well, Lamar was great. I don't the relationship was not even that rocky. It's just one that I found that I can't do forever.
Hmm.
I hate to even talk badly about it. Yes, there were things that happened that weren't okay, but that's every
Right.
relationship,
Right.
but marriage is forever. So that's a decision you have to make before you get married. But we met in Atlanta and it was not even on a romantic level. He was in Atlanta looking for a personal trainer and some people to help him get ready for the big three when he was playing at the time.
Hmm.
He stumbled across me. I agreed to train him. I also agreed to link him with some basketball trainers. So that is how our relationship started. It was just a working relationship. And then shortly after, he asked me out for dinner. I accepted. And then that is when our relationship grew in a different direction.
When you say moved in a different direction, without getting into too detailed, what do you mean like it moved in two different directions?
So initially I said it started as a working relationship and then
Hmm.
it moved into an intimate relationship.
Okay. Um, what led you to think about writing the book after December 2020 when you guys decided to call off your relationship?
So I just had experienced so many situations where people felt like I was so strong and you handled this so well, and how do you recover from this and that? And it was like the same answer. It was like I had to walk away from things,
Hmm.
like in order to achieve the things you see that I'm achieving or the person you see I am today, it all was somehow a result of me leaving something, a job, a family member, a thought, being an athlete, a relationship. So I decided I wanted to compile a lot of these experiences in a book and talk about how freeing walking away can be, and this glow and this strength that you're alluding to when you see me comes from my ability to do that.
When you talk about relieving your freedom, explain, get a little bit more into that part of your life. When you say, okay, I see something I don't like, I can be free. Explain what that actually means as far as you as it relates to your upcoming book.
So anytime I feel like you don't have peace, you're in some type of bondage, you're in, usually when you don't have peace, it's something blocking you from something.
Hmm.
And we're faced with a decision. We can either stay or we can go where it's peaceful. So, that's what I mean by becoming free, free of whatever is blocking my peace. So if you go to a job and you get anxiety around your boss or a coworker, or you don't like how they talk to you or something, you don't feel a lot of peace. There's a choice you can make. You can stay, you can try to navigate in that space, or you can get out of that space and find another space to be in. So that's what I mean by freeing yourself.
Now you're a mother now and you have children, but
Yes,
more importantly, you have a daughter. What do you bring
yes.
to your life of experience that you now tell your daughter?
Ask the question again.
You're now a mother. You have a daughter.
Yes.
You've been through a lot, a heck of a lot, and you've overcome a lot. What do you tell your daughter now? You're now a mother, and you definitely don't want to see the same. You saw a lot of stuff in your life. Now, what do you bring to your daughter's life? Do you say, look, this is how you need to do. These are things that's going to happen, blah, 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 blah. How do you strengthen her?
Well, I teach her, I don't just tell her stuff and then say, because I said so, right? I try to teach her the reason why I'm telling her things, even to when it comes to nutrition. You know, no, Haven, we're not getting that type of bacon. Why? Because of the sulfates. What's a sulfate? Oh, let's look it up.
Mm-hmm.
Not only are we going to look up what a sulfate is, we're going to look up what it does to your body so that she can now understand. Oh, it's just here that it can cause your lungs to close. I know you don't want your lungs to close. So let's get the sulfate-free bacon. Let's get the nitrate-free bacon. What's a nitrate? Nitrates are another sulfate. Like, this is how I teach her, you know, and so that she understands, okay, it's a good reason to not get this. Not just because I said so and I'm not buying that, you know. But I'm going to be honest, I don't say a whole lot. I show her.
Really?
You know, she's been watching me work, overcome, push through, decide her entire life. You know, I show her compassion. She knows in this house, we hug, we kiss, we hold hands, we pray, we forgive. We speak words of power. We don't say I can't. You know, like, I show her this. I support her. If she has something, I show up. If I'm not able to make it, that's foreign to her.
Right.
Like, what do you mean you can't be there? Like, because I'm there so much.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not excitement. She's almost spoiled because there's no real excitement that I'm there. I'm always there. You know, it's exciting if like grandpa or something comes. Because, oh wow, grandpa's coming today. Like, me is like, of course you're coming. She expects me to be a mother because it's what I am. You know, it's not that she feels privileged and honored because I haven't been. So, you know, she's also an athlete. So I know how to fully support her in that because I've done it. You know, when she sees my medals and my trophies, I say, you know how I got these things? You know how I was able to run this fast? Sacrificing, doing this. I had to put the TV down. I had to call my girlfriend later, you know, like, so she understands what that means. I teach her how to goal set. I ask her beginning of every season, what do you want to achieve this season? Well, I want to go to nationals. When you go to nationals, what place do you want to get? Well, I want to get first. How do you think you're going to get first? Are you going to do the same thing as last year? What are you going to do differently this year?
Right.
Like, we break it down so she can process. So when she falls out of line or gets unfocused, because she naturally will, she's only 11, she can then remember, well, I did say I wanted to do this. And I did figure out a plan on how to do this. So it helps her get back on track. And I do the same with my son every time he's around me, you know, and even through FaceTime, because again, he's mostly with his dad.
Right.
Always, okay, what did you do wrong? How can you do better? How did you, you know, and I stroke his ego so much because his dad is pretty tough. So I personally have to be the one to always stroke his ego.
Right.
Because it gives him that balance he needs. You know,
Okay.
his dad doesn't want him too big-headed.
Right.
And I don't think he's big-headed enough.
Right.
You know, so I'm like, our son is really good. So it's a healthy balance, but I believe I give my children what they need in every season. You know, and they haven't had too many seasons yet because they're only 10 or 11. But, and those seasons will continue to change, but I do everything that I did not receive because I know that it's needed.
Okay. Before we wrap up, I'm gonna ask two more questions.
Okay.
You're writing you're in the process of writing a book. You say what you're gonna, you know, you're bringing your life into your kids. You're seeing it, you know, you don't want the same thing to happen to them, but you also on a journey to empower women. What are you doing to empower them? What have you seen that's lacking in women that you like to see change with what you're getting ready to do?
So let me answer the second part of the question first. I'm seeing in women a lot of things I saw in myself. Insecurities, lack of accountability, very hard time taking responsibility for their own actions, not learning or knowing how to communicate their emotions or through their emotions, not understanding the common denominator in any of their problems in their life.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm doing to try to encourage them is telling them the truth, getting them to see the bigger picture, especially when it comes to relationships and dating. If you keep having the same issues with different men, it's not them, it's you. It's just the truth. And there's something that you are doing, or it's something that you are being that is making them most attracted to you and you most attracted to them. And that's the part we got to figure out here. Because I truly believe you attract who you are. The level that you're on is the level that you're going to receive. So if you want to change the options, you have to first change you. And that's in everything. If you want better jobs, what do? You go get more degrees, you go get more education, you go get more, experience. If you want a better man, you have to get more knowledge, more experience, more education. It opens up. It's the same for everything. As mothers, we learn how to parent through our experience, through our knowledge. So you can't get to a relationship and then say, well, I don't have no more room for learning. There's nothing else I need to do. He better take me as I am. I'm perfect. There's no more growth needed. And I can get everything I want. And that's just not true.
Last but not least, take us down the new podcast that you're working on currently.
Oh, yes, I am most excited about this podcast, Love of the Game. So I was able to combine my love for sports and my love for love and relationships into one. And that is basically what it's about. We're going to talk sports. We're going to deal with a lot of athletes, and we're going to join that with love and relationships. And it's been easier said than done because every single day there are some news with athletes, their relationships, baby moms filing for divorce. It's so much happening, and I'm just like, it's everywhere. A lot of women are attracted to athletes and the life that they have. So
Right.
I'm going to be able to help them navigate through that space a little bit more. And I've been kind of doing it in a jokingly way.
Right.
Some of my videos, I've been teaching the X's and O's of football.
I like that too. Go on this side.
Teaching women how to stay out of the guy's way during certain times of the day so they can watch their games. And the NBA had just started, so ladies, y'all better find y'all something to do. When the NBA and the NFL is playing at the same time, it's just not your time. It's not your season, okay? Unless you're into sports, find something else to do, okay? Let them have this season. You can get them back in the summer, okay?
I like that. So how can the viewers reach out to you and learn more about your upcoming podcast, your book, just to get in contact with you in general?
Everything is going to be on my social media, Instagram, Get Up to Parr, Parr with 2 R's. I share everything on there, and my DMs are open. So if you have any personal questions, go ahead and shoot me a DM, and I'll always be available to answer.
You know what? I am excited that you was able to come and share a brief indication of your story, who you are. I'm touched because knowing your story from the other people's eyesight is not what I just heard coming from you. And
Right.
like I always said,
Is it ever?
yeah, only person can tell the story is you. Ladies and gentlemen,
Correct.
This has been Sabrina Parr on another exciting episode of the Andre The Beast Crayton